Ringraziamo I fotografi e
Let's open the plenary session. Good evening. We begin the plenary session with the video on Friuli Venezia Giulia.
prende ora la parola.
We give the floor to the governor of the Friuli Venezia Giulia region, Massimiliano Fedriga. First of all, I wish to thank you. Just a few minutes. I want to thank in particular the Vice President, Deputy Prime Minister Antonio Tajani. IMEC is an opportunity, an extraordinary opportunity for us. You've seen this video. It tells you about the logistic system in our region. But IMEC plays a major role, not just for our region, but for the whole of Europe. And we also have to take into account that the international tensions that we are living. This corridor is not just a fundamental alternative for logistic connections, because we know that some shipping lines are now blocked, and they are fundamental for the economics of a continent. But the IMEC is, first of all, an alliance of countries. I'm being very clear, and forgive me for this clarity. We are thinking about new shipping lines to connect the Far East to Europe. And these shipping lines would exclude the Mediterranean. They would exclude those countries which have a strategic geographic position, with an impact, of course, on the economies of all of the countries that will be excluded. And this is why we have to think about a network of alliances, so that our continent, our sea, are not excluded. And so that we do not become marginal economies. Starting from India and moving on to the strategic Middle East countries, I'm thinking about the United Arab Emirates, I'm thinking about Saudi Arabia, I'm thinking about all of those countries which play a strategic role today and will increasingly do so in the international trade. I promised that I would only speak for a few minutes. I think that the IMEC corridor, this important alternative, this strategic and economic alliance, I think that the IMEC corridor represents an important geopolitical decision to create an alliance. The IMEC corridor is a serious alternative for countries which have an open dialogue on the economic developments of both Asia and our continent. We have seen that there are other models, unfortunately, other models which do benefit from resources, at least locally, but then those countries and those communities have to make do with the decisions imposed by other non-democratic countries. This is why I say that the IMEC corridor is an important geopolitical choice. It means that we can protect our economies, that we can protect our freedom. I know it will require quite a long time. It will require building infrastructures. We will have to meet quite frequently. But this event today, supported by the Deputy Prime Minister, I think is one of those steps that are absolutely necessary to build our future. Thank you. Let's continue with a video on the logistic platform of the Friuli-Venezia Giulia region. And now the Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Antonio Tajani, will have the floor. Good afternoon. Let me thank Governor Fedriga, who has supported us with his region in organizing this initiative. I do believe in this initiative. I believe that the IMEC corridor is the future for our economies. And when I say our economies, I'm not just referring to Italy. I'm referring to the Balkan countries. I'm referring to the Mediterranean economies. I'm thinking about some African countries, the Gulf countries, Israel, and India. This is an infrastructural and economic corridor which will be an extraordinary opportunity for our future from all viewpoints. Today, we see that there are risks for conflicts and tensions, and they affect gas and oil transport. And being able to rely on an infrastructure that crosses the Middle East and Africa and reaches Europe through the Mediterranean means that we will not be subject to the blackmailing and the threats of those who are blockading Hormuz right now. So it will be a connection, inland connection, which will mean that we will be free from all blackmailing, and we will have another opportunity to be supplied energy for the benefit of all of our economies. But for a country like Italy, which relies on exports, accounting for 40% of our GDP, a country which looks at the Mediterranean and at the Gulf area with great interest. 40% of all of our maritime trade crosses Suez and the Red Sea. So again, we have to be careful. But the IMEC corridor is a project, is an infrastructure that will make it possible to promote the growth of the whole of the Adriatic Sea, Italy and the Balkan countries. It's true that Trieste is going to be the terminal port, the starting point or the end destination of goods coming and going to the Far East. But before Trieste, there are many other ports in the Adriatic. And all of these ports have to be, at the same time, the main characters of this initiative. Is it a dream? Perhaps. But when you want to turn your dreams into reality, you have to make efforts. I'm thinking about the railway corridor, which might connect, and this is what we want to do, which should connect Belgrade to Trieste, and the railway corridor, the southbound corridor towards the Balkans. And then corridor number 8, reaching the Black Sea, starting from India, through Israel, the Gulf countries, and Africa, up to Brindisi in southern Italy. We might use corridor number 8, thereby involving Bulgaria, Romania, Northern Macedonia, up to the Black Sea. So there are many opportunities. Of course, someone might say, there is already Marseille. I know, but once the IMEC corridor gets here, you might have one terminal in Marseille for Western Europe and one terminal port in Trieste for Eastern and Central Europe. I don't like these fights. I mean, France will have Marseille. Central and Eastern Europe will have Trieste. They are not mutually excluding each other. What is important is that we have a project that allows us to reach India. India is going to be a very important counterpart in the Indian and Pacific region, where we have many interests. India is a large market. India is a large democracy. We must not forget it. India plays a very important role. We have signed an agreement, a trade agreement, the European Union with India. And that agreement will allow us to further valorize the IMEC corridor. And we also have important relations with Israel in the field of education and trade. And once the war is over, they will again be very important. And then we have other countries who are now playing, which are now playing a major role on the international scenario, which entail major economic opportunities with great investment opportunities. They are strategic partners. So even for them, as well as for us, IMEC can become an extraordinary opportunity to further strengthen trade flows. among them. And these trade flows are also the result of political agreements. Even in Africa and Egypt and northern African countries cannot be excluded, especially the ones facing the Mediterranean Sea. They cannot be excluded from these corridors. The Mediterranean must be a place of trade and no longer a place of conflicts or irregular migrants dying at sea. The Mediterranean, and I'm thinking about all of the underwater infrastructure, the special envoy, Mr. Talot. Today's meeting wants to let the world understand, the world of entrepreneurs and businesses, that these strategic visions is very important for us. We are looking at towards the east and towards the south, so that the quality of our manufacturing system can continue to grow. There is an extraordinary potential, 700 billion of export by the end of 2027. Sounds like a dream, but there has been an increase by 3.3% this year, despite everything that's going on, which means that the quality of our manufacturing system can really overcome all types of trade wars and conflicts. So we have to continue working on this corridor. We have to believe in it. And the system that we have organized together with Siemens, Cassa Depositi e Prestiti, and SACE, the whole system that we have created together with public and semi-private companies working with our companies abroad will be a very successful instrument to strengthen our presence all along the different steps of these corridors, because there are intermediate steps along that corridor. We have mentioned the Mediterranean, along the Balkan coast and along the Italian coast. There are many ports there. Trieste is the point of arrival, of the starting point. It's like having an underground line. Trieste is the main destination or starting point, but then there are other ports that might be involved and which might receive or send freight. And then there is a whole infrastructural network, the railway connections in the Balkans, Corridor 8 to the Black Sea, and then underground cables crossing the Mediterranean. And then the extraordinary opportunity offered by the Gulf countries. We are just starting this important collaboration with the Gulf countries. And I think that this might lead to joint ventures. It might lead to investments in Italy or Italian investments elsewhere. So this corridor will be a political and economic and trade network to promote growth, well-being, the development of a market economy, to strengthen peaceful relations among countries who want to live in peace, countries which want to bank on growth and development, on diplomatic relations. I believe that IMEC can be a very useful instrument to further improve diplomatic relations among all the countries involved. Today's event is not just for politicians, it is especially for businessmen. I see many entrepreneurs from the northern part of Italy, but then I think that we will have to involve all of the companies that are and will be involved by these exceptional adventure. Let me thank Minister Hassan Said Al-Angeri with us despite the problems in his country. We're very close to the United Arab Emirates. They have been attacked. We are ready to help them. They asked for our help, and we are ready to help also with military instruments to protect a friend country, a free country where many Italians work. So I really thank the Minister of the United Arab Emirates for his presence here, despite what is going on in that area of the world. His presence is very meaningful. I was saying that this corridor can become a tool that ensures economic safety. This project is really worth implementing. We have to speed up the implementation of this process. It was mentioned yesterday in Brussels during the meeting of the Foreign Affairs Ministers in Brussels, meeting the Foreign Affairs Minister of India. India is convinced, India believes in this project, as well as the Gulf countries, so we have to speed up the implementation of the corridor. But we are here to listen to your ideas and suggestions, because the most important beneficiaries are going to be you companies and our citizens, because without companies, we don't have jobs, and our goal is that of increasing the well-being of our citizens. So our government will certainly work in favor of the implementation of this corridor as soon as possible. I know it's a matter of years, not a matter of weeks, but we have to be determined. We have to be determined in speeding up the implementation of this project. So we really have to hold meetings, involve as many stakeholders as possible. We have already built a first piece, which is the special IMEC envoy, and then as a Foreign Affairs Ministry, we will have to have a special dedicated unit working on the corridor so that our Italian contribution to the project can really be significant. We have to involve regions as well. As the governor of Friuli-Venezia Giulia said, this region offers logistic opportunities. The port is being upgraded. But we can involve all of the other Adriatic regions along the coast, because each region can be one step along the corridor. And the same holds true for the Balkans. The more opportunities we have, the better for all of us. Trieste, I think, will go back to its past glory when it was the only port of the Austrian Empire. And Central and Eastern Europe will then be able to receive freight and goods coming from all countries. Now, I insist on the importance of energy, oil and gas. This is also an energy corridor, so that we will enjoy greater freedom in the future should conflicts like the ones we live in repeat in the future. Now we have one country which is blockading our access to energy sources. If there is an alternative, and there is going to be one through the IMEC corridor, that corridor will be able to ensure our freedom and independence. Energy is of paramount importance for all of your companies. These are the reasons why we believe in the IMEC corridor, and this is why our government will do its utmost to speed up the implementation time, signing all the necessary agreements for this project to become a reality. Thank you very much.
Prende ora la parola la
Foreign Minister of Romania now has the floor. Oana Tsoiu.
Dear Minister Tajani, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be in Trieste today. We've met this morning for the ICE. But this is also an extremely important conversation. And if you've taken a close look at the initial map, maybe you've noticed that a lot of those roads don't reach Romania. But that is also the reason why I'm here. And it's twofold. First of all, we are a country that has the border of the European Union, the border of NATO, the border of Schengen, and we believe ourselves to be essential also in how we provide connectivity to the region. Not least of all, due to the Constanța harbor, which has proved essential for the flow of grains, for the flow of food, and for the flow of logistics once the war in Ukraine has started, and we believe it to continue to be essential. The Constanța harbor, the Danube, the logistical platforms we're building for the future reconstruction as well. And that is why I think IMEC is extremely important, absolutely essential, and I'm here on behalf of my government to show our support for what is a strategic essential project. We also believe it to be essential for being part of a wider connectivity paradigm. And this is where Minister Tajani also mentioned very clearly how important it is that we focus also on Corridor 8. We've just had, I've just come from Brussels yesterday where we had a working dinner on the Free Seas Initiative. Its power, its role, its attractiveness of investments increases as much as it is placed in a larger connectivity paradigm. And this is the main message that I came here today with. And also, I think we are now at a moment in time where it's very clear that if we look at the development of our economies, if we look at the logistical paths, the logistical highways, and alternatives that we're building, it is not just an economy driver that pushes our decisions. This is also a geopolitical driver, and it is very clear that like-minded countries align more, but it is also very clear that as much as we have more commercial ties with each other, more commercial logistical ties with each other, be it in the flow of goods, the flow of energy, the flow of data, that also helps us be easier aligned in terms of our geopolitical stances. And India, from that perspective, I think it is the absolute essential partner to have, not only because it is the largest democracy of the world, but also in terms of the fast-paced economic growth that they have, the integration that we see with a lot of our industries. In the case of Romania, it's mostly the car industry and the digital services industries. And also one last point concerning the current volatile situation that we're facing, not just in Eastern Europe, but also in the Middle East and many other parts around the world. I think we've seen, especially from the business environment, but governments as well, many years in which everyone was focused on the best possible decision at the current moment, be it from a financial perspective or from the speed with which the governments were moving or from the ease of bureaucracy perspective, and then you would focus on that most of the resources you have or the political attention. I think we're in a different space now where everyone has understood that you also need for everything that you're building to also build alternatives. And from that point of view, IMEC and the regional connectivity, I think they are essential not just for the countries, the governments, and the businesses that see that as a priority, but as much as we're able across the world to have alternatives, the less dependent we are in terms of crisis, the less dependent our energy prices are, the less dependent our economies are. And that increases the resilience of all of us, and as much as we have economic resilience, as much as we have freedom of our decisions, our strategies, and our pathways going forward. So the main message that I come with it, it's a great project, it fully has our support. We believe it to be essential if it's included in a broader connectivity agenda, and we're here to build that with three success indicators that we're following: lowering of the prices, lowering of the time, and increasing the ties between the countries that participate in it. Thank you.
Prende ora la parola il Ministro di
The Minister or State Minister at the United Arab Emirates has the floor now.
Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, as I stand before you today, my country is facing its third week of unprovoked and illegal attacks by Iran. This aggression against the UAE is targeting civilians, facilities, and infrastructure, including commercial ports, airports, shopping centers, residential neighborhoods, service facilities, densely populated areas, as well as diplomatic and consular premises. It has led so far to the death of 6 civilians, with many more injured. These acts are a clear violation of the UAE national sovereignty and a breach of international law and the Charter of the United Nations. These attacks on the UAE and the region have critically endangered maritime routes, disrupted trade routes, and risked energy security, impacted countries all over the world, and threatened international peace and security. Excellencies, Italy has long played a vital role in connecting Europe with the Mediterranean and beyond. And today's forum reflects the growing ambition to strengthen connectivity between Europe, Middle East, and Asia. Similarly, the UAE experience in building integrated logistic, energy, and digital ecosystems has positioned us as a natural hub in connecting regional and global markets. Over the years, we have successfully developed one of the world's most advanced trade and logistic environment, linking major shipping routes, aviation networks, and digital infrastructure across continent. Today, Iran's attack on the UAE are not only directly threatening civilian safety, but also the UAE's and the region's economic security. The uncertainty brought about these aggressions are affecting the movement of goods, energy, and the data across the region. If there is anything we learned from these unfortunate events, is that resilience is now a central priority for government and business alike. Connectivity initiatives such as IMEC should be understood as a platform for strengthening economic resilience, improving supply chain reliability, and fostering sustainable growth across the region, as well as ensuring that global trade networks remain resilient and reliable, especially during times of uncertainty and conflict. The vision behind IMEC to link Asia, the Middle East, and Europe through integrated transport, energy, and digital infrastructure remain both timely and relevant. As discussions around the world evolve, we must now shift our focus from vision to implementation. From the UAE perspective, our engagement with the IMEC has always been guided by a pragmatic and implementation-focused approach. The UAE has already made significant investment in infrastructure and projects that align closely with the broader objective of the corridor. Across IMEC partners, many countries, Emirati companies have invested tens of billions of dollars in ports, logistic platform, renewable energy platforms and systems, and digital infrastructure that contribute directly to the strengthening and connectivity along this corridor. These investments demonstrate that IMEC is not only a strategic vision, but one that is already supported by tangible projects and partnerships. Historically, during periods of disruption, affecting global supply chain, the UAE logistic and trade infrastructure continued to operate efficiently, ensuring continuity of global trade flows and supporting international markets. This is also evident today. Despite the attempts to disrupt our infrastructure, we see our port continuing to operate and our airlines moving back toward full capacity by the end of this month. UAE logistic and port operators like AD Port and DP World manage a logistic network across multiple continents, helping maintain the flow of goods at all times. Meanwhile, our rail project, like the Ittihad Rail and Hafid Rail, are strengthening regional connectivity and further reinforcing the UAE role as a logistic hub, linking markets across Asia, Middle East, and Europe. With this in mind, this ecosystem allows the UAE to play a strategic role as a connector supporting the integration of different segments of the corridor. Distinguished colleagues, all of this will not be possible without the active participation from the private sector. I'm happy to see so many companies today present here, and I look forward to hearing their ideas on how to bring this vision into execution. The way we see it as the UAE, the recipes for success of IMEC depend on three folds. One, government strategic direction and coordination. Two, private sector technical expertise and implementation capabilities. And finally, adaptable and efficient blended finance options. It's also important that connectivity initiatives such as the IMEC are approached in the spirit of cooperation. These initiatives should be viewed as complementary efforts that strengthening global trade network and contribute to global economical resilience. Excellencies, I would like to thank the government of Italy for convening us here today during these challenging times, and I reiterate that UAE commitment to working closely with all partners to advance this initiative in a pragmatic, inclusive, and economically sustainable manner. I thank you.
Sarà ora proiettato un videomessaggio della commissaria dell'Unione Europea.
Okay, now we'll have a video from the European Commissioner for the Mediterranean.
I cannot be in Trieste with you today, but I wanted to send a message of strong support for your work on connecting India and the Mediterranean. We are living through challenging times, times of fragmentation, of competing spheres of influence, of trade frictions, and when it comes to the Middle East, also a time of war and destruction. A time of uncertainty as to what the region will look like once the dust has settled. These forces can feel inevitable, but they are not. And IMEC is a crucial example of why and how they are not. IMEC is a strategic bridge between our regions, a bridge connecting resources and those with the will and the skill to develop them. A bridge that stimulates economic growth, empowering people to add value, building resilient, diversified economies, building something that lasts. So it is especially meaningful that you meet today in Trieste, a city and a port that have linked Europe to Asia for centuries. In a fast-changing world, it is important to build on these strengths with solid infrastructure developed over the course of centuries, over the course of history. We see how important this is in the growing momentum of European Union initiatives like the Pact for the Mediterranean. We see it in the Blue Ramen cable system or the Medusa project, making our societies more interconnected. And the many business partners at this conference see this too. The European Union is behind you. We want to empower you. ensuring a stable regulatory environment, building coordinated efforts, enabling and, where necessary, de-risking investments. Now, the potential of this initiative hinges on more than goodwill. It hinges on our ability to navigate a complex geopolitical environment, ensuring steady progress towards stability and peace, particularly in the Middle East. Together, we have the opportunity and the responsibility to move forward, to deliver on the value of cooperation, contributing to the stabilization and prosperity of the Middle East. Dear participants, I wish you a fruitful exchange and look forward to your conclusions. Thank you so much. Grazie mille.
Continuiamo ora con la proiezione di un video.
Let's proceed with video on the Italian port system.
With over 8,000 kilometers of coastline and represents a central and strategic hub within Europe's maritime and port system. 16 port authorities manage more than 60 ports of varying sizes, charting major routes and handling over 480 million tons of cargo annually. More than 80% of freight reach the homes of Europe's citizens from around the world via the motorways of the sea, seamlessly connected to road and rail networks through ports. Italy's port and maritime system is a vital resource for everyone who chooses to travel by sea, whether for work, leisure, tourism, or culture. Over 73 million passengers traveled through one of the country's maritime gateways last year. At the heart of the blue economy are the port and maritime workers, women and men who moor ships, handle ropes, mend nets, and support intricate systems, contributing to the growth of both national and international economic sectors. They always operate with the highest standards of safety, in port operations and cargo handling, in systems management and traffic control, in maintaining order and in cybersecurity. Thanks to strict protocols and advanced digitalization, a large network of over 1 million people dedicated to collective well-being, powering a system that runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Italy's maritime and port industry is in constant evolution, driven by continuous training and updates on protocols and regulations. It is strengthened by strong support for new generations who approach their profession with enthusiasm and expertise. It is constantly growing due to investments in infrastructure and technological modernization. And thanks to the path towards a new sustainability, Italy is actively working to reduce the most polluting aspects of the maritime system through the implementation of intermodal and low-impact transport solutions, the development of onshore power supply infrastructure for dock electrification, the adoption of green technologies for cargo handling, and the use of low-emission fuels. This is because the sea is the deepest root of our civilization, and it is also the future for new generations. And the future is what we must take responsibility for now.
Prende ora la parola il Presidente.
And now we give the floor to the President of the Istituto Commercio Estero, Mr. Zoppas. Good afternoon. Mr. Tajani has just left the room. I thank him. I thank also the Governor Fedriga, governor of this beautiful region that I belong to. And I thank President Villafranca, Picchi, Ambassador Talot, Ministers of Foreign Affairs, and in particular, a special welcome to the Minister of the United Arab Emirates, and I thank him for his words. And my personal thanks and my personal solidarity for everything that your country is suffering right now. We are privileged when it comes to infrastructures, Governor Federica. You've been able to build these infrastructures over time, and you're lucky enough to find yourself at the center of many corridors which have been recently developed, which make this region very convenient to ensure growth of the cargo coming and living from and to this area. Export and exporting businessmen require certainty and security. And what is happening right now in the world shows us that it is necessary to have infrastructures providing greater guarantees to entrepreneurs as well. International contingent situations cannot impact our export conditions. So I really applaud this IMEC corridor because it provides us with a valid alternative, a concrete alternative, a convenient as well when it comes to times and costs, because times and costs are at the basis of competitivity, which is what we look for when we entrepreneurs try and open and exploit new markets, and especially when we try to make our activities grow abroad. 642 million euro export in the world. We are one of the countries which exports more, especially in comparison with our surface area and in comparison with the number of inhabitants that we have. It's true. There is a clear goal right now set by our government. We have to be able to export 700 million euros. Who do that? Entrepreneurs, products, the Made in Italy manufacturing system. And we have to grow despite the challenging times that we have seen after 2018. In 2019, we exported for 480 million. In 2022, we went up to 622 million euros export. Despite COVID, so despite the pandemic, which meant that there were new markets closing down, and after the beginning of the Ukrainian-Russian conflict, which led to a terrible increase in the energy prices, which we are witnessing today as well. At the time, the government adopted tax measures which saved many of our companies. Now we are looking for new solutions. But long-term solutions like the IMEC corridor and its infrastructures will help us to bring down by 30% transit times from Italy to India, even 40%. And this opportunity for entrepreneurs is what turn products into something really competitive. So this initiative certainly has an added value for us, and it entails a positive change for our Italian manufacturing system. We need initiatives like this one. Initiatives like this one improve our international competitivity. Thank you. And now we give the floor to the representative of the Industrialist Association for Tourism and the Manufacturing System, Leopoldo Destro. Good afternoon, and a particular recognition to Governor Fedriga for his warm hospitality. A special welcome to local authorities on my personal behalf and on the behalf of the Industrial Association, and a special welcome to the United Arab Emirates Minister. You have our full support and solidarity in these very challenging times. The IMEC corridor was launched with a memorandum of understanding signed in September 2023. At the basis of that memorandum of understanding, there was the idea that in a very fragmented international scenario, increasingly marked by geopolitical tensions and vulnerabilities along the most important shipping lines, we maintained that it was necessary to have more reliable connections. And that conviction today is even stronger than it was in 2023. The vulnerabilities shown by the current Middle East situation are a further evidence that our conviction is justified. And this is why, looking at the future, we, as entrepreneurs of this country, have to highlight the great interest that we have for initiatives like this one, the IMEC corridor. It is not just an alternative route, an alternative corridor. It is a platform. It is a complementary platform capable of offering new options, of strengthening the resilience of the supply chains that due to conflicts are now interrupted, thereby damaging the economic systems of our country and of the whole of Europe. This corridor can increase the stability of flows among India, the Middle East, and Italy. And this is precisely what counts. We don't want to replace existing routes. We want to complement them, strengthening the system of trade and trade flows. We are a manufacturing, exporting, and importing country, and we believe in this initiative. Therefore, it is not just a logistic matter. This corridor is a strategic leverage that we can use together with strategic partners. These partners are fundamental to implement this corridor. And I'm referring to India, with which we already have important trade for more than 14 billion euros. And Minister Tajani was saying before, this further trade will be enriched by the agreement that was signed with the European Union. And then Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates represented more than 24 billion euros, more than 70% of the trade that we have with all of the Gulf countries. Minister Tajani before was talking about a dream. As entrepreneurs, we believe that this is a dream, but this is a dream that is going to come true. And it is going to come true because we are firmly convinced that we will play our own role, that we will take up our own responsibility. The partners chosen by Europe, the Middle East and India, are partners which have demonstrated to be very pragmatic and concrete over the last few years. The Minister of the United Arab Emirates was saying it before. He was telling us about the infrastructure that they have developed over the last few years. Emirates. Who knew Emirates a few years ago? And the world leader in port logistics. Think about the energy infrastructure that they have. ADNOC, Saudi Aramco. Indispensable infrastructures for the Arab and Middle East system, but also for the whole of the African and European regions. The afternoon panels are going to be a valuable opportunity to enter into the details of 3 different dimensions of the agreement. And we'll touch upon 3 main topics: transport and logistics, and as infrastructures, energy, and safety, energy safety and security, and safety of the supply lines are fundamental, and then digital connectivity. We can't think about safety and security today without connectivity to reduce bureaucratic hurdles that are still hindering enterprises today. The IMEC corridor is a multi-dimensional interconnected architecture capable of generating not just flows, but also supply chains, industrial cooperation. For us, Industrialist Association of Italy, the meaning of today's event lies not in creating a framework, but in developing a common, a shared working method, including private and public institutions as well as businesses. You have our own support. My best wishes for this corridor, my best wishes to the Special Envoy Talon. You have our support. We believe in this initiative. Let's proceed with the implementation of this new important corridor.
Prenderà la parola ora il
And now we give the floor to the President of SACE, Guglielmo Picchi. Good evening, and thank you, Minister Tajani. You really have supported the organization of this summit. I thank the Governor of Friuli Venezia Giulia for his invitation. The day after the signature of the IMEC protocol in November 2023, we came here to Trieste together with friends of other American think tanks. I had a different role, a different capacity at the time, and we talked about the central role played by Trieste and the importance of corridors crossing Trieste and leading up to Trieste. Now I'm here in my capacity as president of SACE. SACE is an organization whose task is that of implementing the political agenda established by the Italian government. The government believes in the IMEC corridor and in the potential of the export that might be increased thanks to this corridor. And thanks to the government and all members of parliament whom I see here in the room, SACE has resources in 2026 that can support the internationalization of Italian businesses, and they account for 74 billion euros for 2026 alone, which means that the dream that Minister Tajani was mentioning is a dream that can come true. Part of these resources that we have will be allotted to supporting our export. Another important part of these resources will be allotted to all businesses to help them getting stronger and to be able to better face international markets. The IMEC corridor, well, we can support this important corridor thanks to our capillary network of offices. We are in Mumbai, we are in Dubai, we are in Riyadh. We can play a role, I think, in helping turning this dream into a reality. But we need businesses. We need companies. They are the soul. We have the resources, but you entrepreneurs have to give us projects, ideas. We are ready to finance your projects, and we are ready to implement this project together with you entrepreneurs. If we manage to do so, this dream of reaching up to 700 billion export will become a reality. SACE is here for you. The government believes in increasing our export. but we need a greater synergy with the whole system of the regional financial institutions. Friuli-Venezia Giulia is certainly at the vanguard from this viewpoint with its financial institutions. We can do more together to support all of you entrepreneurs. You are the real main characters of this dream which is building an alternative corridor that doesn't stop here in Trieste. Trieste is the hub of many corridors, is at the center of many corridors. And I'm very pleased that now Minister Tajani has mentioned the implementation of the 3 Cs initiative. I've been working on that initiative for many, many years, so I'm very pleased. So I confirm that we are committed to realizing the projects that you are going to submit to us. I'm sure that we can work together to implement and strengthen this corridor. Of course, the role of Special Envoy Talot is of crucial relevance. He has a very difficult task. It is not easy to implement the IMEC corridor, but all of the institutions and new entrepreneurs, all together, I think we can turn this dream into a reality. We can turn it into a success story, not just for the benefit of Trieste and this region, but for the whole of our country. Thank you.
Now, Vice President of ISPI for Research, Antonio Villafranca, has the floor. Good afternoon. So again, I thank Minister Tajani, I thank Governor Fedriga, and I welcome all our international guests. Well, the language of work of parallel sessions will be English, so I will switch to English now for our international guests.
Meet today at a moment when global connectivity is undergoing profound transformation. In recent years, the pandemic, the war in Ukraine, disruptions in the Red Sea, and now the conflict in the Gulf remind us how fragile global supply chains are. All the more so if they depend on a limited number of routes and choke points. In recent weeks, the escalation of tensions around Iran and the broader regional confrontation have further intensified instability across the Gulf region. Iranian responses and the risk of wider regional spillovers have affected the maritime security and energy routes, demonstrating how closely intertwined geopolitical tensions and global connectivity are. The Gulf remains one of the world's most strategic corridors for energy and trade flows, and developments there inevitably reverberate far beyond, well beyond, the region itself. Indeed, today's instability in the Middle East is a clear-cut demonstration of the challenges large-scale connectivity projects face. But it also highlights, perhaps more than ever, the urgency of building more resilient, diversified, and even to some extent redundant corridors capable of protecting global value chains from disruptions. This is precisely why initiatives that aim to diversify routes and strengthen the resilience of supply chains are becoming increasingly central to international economic strategy. Connectivity is no longer only about efficiency, it is also about security, redundancy, and long-term resilience. It is precisely in this context that IMEC should be read. As it was highlighted in previous speech also by Minister Tajani, it is conceived as a multimodal network linking India to Europe through the Arabian Peninsula and the Mediterranean. Here you should also have a look at the map, should be the first one. Maritime routes, railway infrastructure, energy system, and digital networks come together to form a new architecture of connectivity across what we increasingly describe as the Indo-Mediterranean region. This emerging Indo-Mediterranean space connects some of the most dynamic economic regions of the world, linking the Indo-Pacific with the Mediterranean and Europe through a dense network of infrastructure, trade flows, and strategic partnerships. The countries involved together represent a very significant share of global GDP at a market of more than 2 billion people, thus showing the scale and potential impact of the corridor. So this evolving strategic space is the focus of the new ISPI report. You should have a brochure in your chairs. You can also download it by scanning the QR code. And allow me to this aim in particular to thank the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation for supporting the publication of this study, and to thank also ISPI's authors and other authors and partners who contribute to this report. In particular, let me mention RINA Consulting for their SWOT analysis of the major Mediterranean ports, Sparkle and Edison too, for sharing the valuable and long-standing experience on the region and beyond. The report and the maps that you will find in the downloaded, hopefully, volume, analyze IMEC across 3 dimensions. It was previously mentioned: transportation, digital connectivity, and energy systems. So let me start first with transport and trade. Yeah, you should have this map, okay? IMEC could shorten transit times between India and Europe while providing an additional layer of resilience for global supply chains. IMEC is not meant to replace traditional routes, such as, for instance, the Suez Canal. Rather, it offers strategic, complementary pathways capable of mitigating disruptions and diversifying trade flow. This is one of the key value added of this initiative. Initial studies suggest that the corridor could reduce freight transit times between India and Europe by up to 40%, while lowering logistics costs, making it particularly relevant for high-value and time-sensitive goods. Within the European segment of the corridor, of course, Italy, our country, plays a particularly important role. The port of Trieste, as shown on the map, stands out as a natural gateway to Central and Eastern Europe. It is the northernmost port of the Mediterranean and the closest maritime gateway to the Baltic region, directly connected to the Baltic-Adriatic corridor of the Trans-European Transport Network. Thanks to its strong rail connectivity and its proximity to several landlocked economies, such as Austria, Hungary, Slovakia, the Czech Republic, just to name a few, Trieste provides efficient access to key industrial centers. But it is also crucial to note that Italy's contribution goes well beyond a single port, well beyond Trieste itself. Italy's strength lies in its integrated maritime system, a network of complementary ports from Trieste to Genoa and across the broader national logistics infrastructure that together connect global maritime routes with European markets. In this sense, IMEC should not be seen as competition among ports, but as an opportunity to strengthen the entire Italian logistics ecosystem. Seen from this perspective, the Italian port system functions as a gateway platform linking the Mediterranean with the broader European hinterland, allowing goods arriving from Asia and the Middle East to be distributed efficiently across the continent. Now, the second dimension, very quickly, which is the digital dimension. Connectivity today is not only about goods, of course, but it is also about, it deals a lot also with data flows. Submarine cables, data centers, and high-capacity networks have become critical infrastructure of the global economy. I hope this is the right map on through the submarine cables. Yes, this is the right slide. In this context, the Genoa-Milan-Trieste axis could form a strategic digital backbone linking submarine cable landing points, major European data hubs, and high-performance computing facilities, transforming Italy into an active node of Eurasian data flow. Genoa already hosts several submarine cable landing stations connecting Europe with global digital networks. Milan represents one of the most important internet exchange points and data center clusters in Southern Europe. Trieste, with its advanced research and computing infrastructure, such as the Orfeo high-performance computing facility, can serve as the gateway connecting these digital flows towards Central and Eastern Europe. Then last but not least, of course, especially in this period, and here is the other slide, the third dimension, which is energy. IMEC offers a framework through which electricity interconnections, LNG infrastructure, and future hydrogen corridors could connect the energy systems of the Gulf and Europe. Thanks to its diversified infrastructure from LNG terminals to pipeline networks and electricity interconnections, Italy is well positioned to act as a Mediterranean energy hub for continental Europe. Italy's 5 regasification terminals, together with pipeline connections from Algeria, Libya, and Azerbaijan, already place the country, our country, at the center of Europe's effort to diversify energy supplies following the reduction of Russian gas imports. In the future, emerging hydrogen infrastructure and electricity interconnections could further strengthen Italy's role as an energy distribution platform linking the Mediterranean with continental Europe. So, to conclude, IMEC should not be understood simply as a logistics corridor. It represents a strategic framework for structuring connectivity across an emerging Indo-Mediterranean space linking Asia, the Gulf, and Europe. Its development takes place in a geopolitical environment marked by significant instability in the Middle East and the Gulf. But precisely, even more for this reason, strengthening diversified corridors such as IMEC is not only an economic opportunity, it is increasingly a strategic necessity. At the same time, IMEC should be seen as part of a broader ecosystem of Eurasian connectivity initiatives, including other corridors linking Asia and Europe. Rather than competing with them, these initiatives can reinforce one another, contributing to a more resilient global infrastructure landscape, precisely what also Minister Tajani just mentioned. By leveraging its geography, its port system, and its energy and digital infrastructure, our country can help shape a new architecture of transcontinental connectivity. After all, building bridges, in any sense, has always been in Italy's DNA. Thank you.
Invitiamo ora a salire sul palco il vice direttore.
I would like to invite the Deputy Director of International Relations and Global Cooperation of OECD, Karim Daou.
Hello, good afternoon, ministers, excellencies, colleagues. Don't worry, I won't be long, so I won't step in between you and the well-deserved coffee for too much time, but still I'm very delighted to be with you to discuss today the future of IMEC in Trieste. The discussions during this panel highlighted how IMEC is emerging not simply as a corridor, but also as a network of networks, connecting in particular infrastructure, energy systems, logistics platforms, and regulatory frameworks across India, the Middle East, and Europe. It is important as we meet today to remain mindful of how connecting networks is important as we see what is happening in the Middle East. The geopolitical context indeed is reminding us how vulnerable concentrated supply chains can be. And what we are witnessing today with oil and gas, we see it happening every day with critical minerals and with plenty of other products and critical supply chains. So with this in mind, I would like to make 2 general remarks and then highlight what will be the OECD contribution to IMEC. Let me start with the 2 general remarks. First, IMEC represents a new form of international cooperation which is centered around connectivity. Economic corridors indeed represent an opportunity to get further aligned to make value chains more resilient. The economies supporting this project represent around 45% of global GDP and more than 40% of global trade. Their cooperation matters because the geopolitical environment is challenging. The economies participating understand well that resilience now depends on diversified, well-functioning and interoperable networks. IMEC offers a platform to develop such networks by aligning investments, regulations, and policy objectives between participating countries committed to more secure and predictable economic linkages. Second general point, connectivity remains a powerful driver of economic competitiveness and development. According to the International Transport Forum, which we host at the OECD, firms in highly connected economies can access markets representing up to 60% of global GDP, and also at an average cost, which is of about $120 per ton. This is in economies that are less connected, this cost can reach up to 5 times this level. So these differences are shaped not only by geography, but also by infrastructure quality, by logistics performance, and by trade procedures. Trade facilitation reforms implemented in recent years have already reduced global trade costs by around 5% in 3 years. According to our Trade Directorate, within the next 5 years, if more ambitious reforms are undertaken, this could bring an additional reduction of 12 percentage points. Let me now highlight what the OECD is going to contribute to IMEC. We are assessing progress along economic corridors from across the world. We have worked for a few years on the Trans-Caspian corridor. We are working on the Lobito corridor in Africa and on the Bioceanic corridor in Latin America. We have developed a scoreboard, which is an aggregation of indicators that allow to score both the efficiency of intermodal transport and also the regulatory convergence of gaps. We look in particular at trade facilitation and at issues such as customs and border procedures. So we are going to apply this scoreboard to IMEC. We have started with an analysis of the 11 trade facilitation indicators that the OECD has compiled for the 8 signatories of IMEC, and also for the participating countries. We will do a country-by-country analysis and also a comparative analysis, and we will formulate recommendations. So this is for the soft aspects, which are excessively important and that regard regulatory convergence among parties to a regional economic corridor. But on top of this, we will look at the efficiency of intermodal transport, road and maritime transport. So we will carry out an overview of the IMEC freight transport market. We will provide a list and specifications of existing and planned transport infrastructure. We will provide also a visualization of the corridor. We are working on a cartography and a consolidation of data with recommendations. And last but not least, with the support of Italy, we are also going to carry out a study of the potential links between IMEC and Eastern Africa. The review will be ready by June. So, ladies, gentlemen, let me conclude that we are at the OECD very glad to be part of this initiative and look forward to further supporting the signatories as well as the participating countries as they move IMEC forward. Thank you.
Grazie per l'attenzione. Proseguiranno con i 3 panel tematici.
Thank you for your attention. We will proceed with 3 different panels, one on transport of goods and logistics. That panel will be held here in this room. The energy panel will be in the Ressel room and the digital connectivity panel in the Illy room. Thank you.
Un momento di attenzione, le altre 2 sale sono nel padiglione dall'altro lato.
The 2 other rooms, to reach the other 2 rooms, you have to bridge over the road. So behind the secretariat, there are stairs. Just climb up the stairs and you will be able to reach the other pavilion.